All right, all right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday to everybody who is at the sound of my voice right now. It's another Talk It Out Tuesday, and I hope you're ready to talk it out. We've had a full week since we've last been together here. A lot is going on. A lot is going on. A lot has happened. And things are happening very fast. So I hope you are paying attention. All right. This is going to be a very good show for you today, a very good conversation. So thank you for joining us. It's going to be me, Miss Tanya, you know that, and Miss Tori being here in a few, and we're here to talk it out with you. You guys can go ahead and get in here and comment where you're from. Let us know where you're from. We've got some special guests who are going to be in the house with us this evening. Belinda Timmons is going to be here, as well as we're looking to have Bishop R.C. Brown from right here in Florence, South Carolina. So I'm looking to have a very interesting conversation. Um, Listen, we're going to dive into the controversial topic of faith and politics, like that relationship between church and state. What happens when faith and politics intersect? How do these intersections impact our society, governance, and your personal beliefs? All right. So join us as we unpack those questions. We're going to discuss a lot of different things. It has to deal with democracy here, with our religious freedom, Christian nationalism. Where is that? What do you know about that? How do you feel about that? Whether you're deeply religious, secular, or somewhere in between. All right. This conversation will challenge you to think critically and about the role of religion in public life. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get my girl on in the house. How you feeling, Tori? Tori, what's going on with you?
What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. We made it to another Tuesday. I can't complain.
Right. It's been a week already. The week went by fast.
It does. Not only did the week go by fast, but the Olympics is over. Did you watch the Olympics? Come on now. How you don't watch the Olympics, Tori? You didn't watch not one event. You didn't watch the basketball game, Tori.
I watched the highlights of what y'all posted on Facebook.
Okay, so did you see some of the races, some of the track and field?
I did.
All right,
I
all right.
did.
Let me tell
Now
you something.
what really kind of was surprising to me, I don't know if this is a first because I don't watch Olympics, but the break dancing thing, where that come in at? Is that something new?
That is new. That was new. That was the first time that we saw that, and not sure we're gonna see it again because they're already saying that it's not gonna be at the 2028 Olympics.
Oh wow.
But what I do wanna say is, see, y'all tried to laugh at me when I told y'all that I feel like I could have been in the Olympics and I could have been a part of the breakdance, and Tori, I could still pop lock.
Really?
Yes, I can. Now, I might have to, soak in a little Epsom salt bath afterwards. You understand what I'm saying? Some of the things might get locked up for real. But listen, it's been very controversial. I'm making a little joke. Some people are clowning it. Some people are saying it's been appropriated. Some people, there's a lot of talk going on. I personally, I don't know how they were judging it. I really don't. But I thought it was interesting to have it in there, and I was looking forward to it continuing because I thought it would look different than how it looked this year.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. They gotta do what they gotta do to bring it back.
The highlights I saw, I was like, wait a minute.
It
I
was.
saw the highlight, of course, the young lady, I can't remember where she's all I know is she had on green, she went viral. And then I saw some clips of some African American men doing it, and I said, okay, now we talking. So was it all together or was there like levels to it?
There's levels, but what I wanna say is just like all of the other sports, it was broken up. So,
Okay, okay.
when you're watching that's the thing about watching the Olympics, like,
Mhm.
if you specifically know what you wanna watch, you better pull up that schedule so that you know what time it is going to be on because I was tired. a lot of the times because I wanted to see some of the track and field, and it was like some of especially when, it was like the preliminaries and everything like that, like some of the beginning heats. Girl, I was up at like 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, so, but it's a certain time of the year, and we kinda prepare for it, so I enjoyed it.
Mm,
Overall, I thought it was incredible. It was
great.
really incredible. We saw a lot of great athletes, a lot of controversies in certain things, but overall, I loved it. I really did,
Right.
you know?
And then I
Um
saw that one of I can't remember the name. I think the last name was Jefferson. Was from is from South Carolina, right?
Yes, you're talking about, the sprinter.
Yes.
Yes, Coastal
Yeah.
Carolina, Melissa
Okay.
Jefferson.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very proud of her. We had quite a few people who were from South Carolina to be, winners and to be a part of it. So it was really awesome. But
That's pretty.
I want to ask you something else that's going on
Okay.
because the Olympics, it's over now. But in 2028, it'll be in LA. Over there in California on the West Side with Snoop Dogg, so now I think we kinda put it all together. Why are we seeing so much of Snoop Dogg? So I think that had a lot to do with it,
Okay.
right? But, speaking of politics, listen, you see what's going on with, your boy trying to, question Kamala's, he's trying to figure out if she's black or not. What are your thoughts on that?
Natanya.
Mhm.
Sip
I
my
wanna know.
water.
Take a little sip. I'm taking a sip.
Now you know
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest as always.
You supposed to be.
I hadn't been keeping up with it.
You know what?
So he trying to question whether or not she's black or
Yes, he is questioning her
not. Hmm.
heritage, whether or not she's black. He actually is doing that right now, so, that's kinda crazy out there.
Well, let me ask this question. Why is that ever an issue? Why do we know just go by who's qualified? Why does it that has to be an issue, whether you question whether they're black or white? I just want the person that's gonna do what they're supposed to do the right thing and abide by the laws and make the right decisions. And that's gonna be for everybody.
Oh,
So I don't understand why they always question it. Just like they had the questions whether when Obama was in office, they had all the I'm like, what? Why does that matter?
listen, they've gotta find something. Identity politics is very, very interesting, and we'll talk about that just a little bit more. We've got, a couple guests we got coming in, today, and I wanna let the people know about that. We are going to be talking about faith in politics, faith in politics. Because, a lot of times, I don't know how it is where you go and worship, but a lot of times people feel like faith and politics don't mix in a lot of ways. And there is a separation of church and state, which I certainly understand that as it relates to government. And I certainly can say that I can agree with that. But in our everyday lives as people and as people who worship and people of faith, I know that you are concerned about what's going on around you politically. What is the climate like where you worship?
Mm, the climate is honestly
Yeah.
no, I'm thinking because I think honestly, I actually had a debate with uh about me and another member in opposing views
Mhm.
because they actually support Trump, and I was trying to figure out why, and it was kind of going to the left, so I decided to just stop the conversation. So
So you actually do have the conversations. At least you're having the
yeah,
conversation because
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
But
listen.
I think sometimes I kind of, for me personally, I keep it separate because sometimes it can go to the left. Some people are very passionate about it, and to the point where some words are said, and when it gets to that point, then I just I shut down and I just kind of just stopped the conversation.
I got you, but I mean, those type of conversations can happen whether you're at church or not. That just
Yeah,
happens in
yeah,
everyday life. That can happen at
yeah.
the grocery store. That can happen at the gas station. But my thing is this: usually during the political season, you often see a lot of candidates who all of a sudden start appearing in the community, and one of the places that they typically go to
He's
are
church.
right,
Yeah, it's
right.
church. It's
So, people say that there's a separation and they pick and choose where that separation is going to be.
right.
Right. But
Hmm.
like I said, everybody's a part of the community. People who are a part of any faith-based organization, listen, you have to be concerned about what's going on as well. So that's going to involve some politics. So you have to have a point of view. You have to be concerned about who is on your local school boards, who's on your council, all the way up the ticket, all the way up to who the president of the United States is, you know?
Hmm.
So that's some of the things that I really want to talk about with our guest today. And I think we'll go ahead and start bringing them in. I want to let people know who we're having, just in case they didn't know. Just in case they didn't. How y'all doing? How you doing, Belinda?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing very well. And Bishop, how are you?
I'm working toward being at my best. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I tell you what, here at Talk It Out Tuesday, this is what we do. We talk things out. So it's pretty straightforward, whatever it is that we're talking about. And it can be from us just watching the Olympics, politics right now, all the way to November. It has to be, on the tip of our tongue. It has to be within our conversations because we've got a lot on the line right now. At least that's what I think. So I'll start with you, Belinda. And let me ask you a question. As it relates to faith and politics, what's one thing that comes out on your mind immediately when you hear that?
Well, it's very simple for me because my campaign is based on faith. And when I decided to run for the Senate seat, it was strictly God calling. I fought because I know how politics work. And it's not a fun game, it's an evil game. And you have to be rooted in Christ if you're going to survive it being a Christian. So when it comes to faith and politics, for me, that's the only way that I can handle it. The only way.
I
Because I knew on this journey that it would not be easy. And that's why I fought as I used to did not believe. So, Bishop, I apologize when people would say I tussled all night with God not to preach. I'm like, that's not so. Trust me, I believe it now. I believe it now because I truly, truly knew that this would be a battle.
Mhm,
And so, with saying that, I believe the only way that we are going to change things is we're going to have Christians that truly believe and have faith to run for positions.
mhm.
So, like I say, I'm running for Senate seat 31. Is predominantly was by Republican the whole time, and here I am, a Democrat running on a Democrat ticket, and I kind of, as they say, I stepped out of my lane.
Mhm.
And when you step out of your lane, it's like they're going to make sure you don't do that again.
Well, I tell you what,
So,
we're going to get a little bit more into that, but I want to stay right here for just a moment in the conversation as we just talk a little bit about faith and politics. And I want to ask you, Bishop, as a faith leader, like, you give us an idea of what the climate is like as it relates to what is going on right now in our country politically, because we also know that we're dealing with a lot of Christian nationalism, and that is a little bit different from, what is going on in the typical everyday life of faith based organizations. So give us an idea of what your first thoughts are when we say faith and politics.
Well, first and foremost, my first thought is thank God that somebody recognizes, understands, and realizes that faith is not locked out of any facet of our life, any part of our life, that the Bible, God, He's involved, interested, and intricately sets people in particular places, like our next senator, Sister Belinda here, sets people in places so that they might be able to enact His will in the earth. Because all of working through the will of God isn't just from the pulpit. One of the things we attempt to teach and preach at our church, as a matter of fact, we're starting this series this particular Sunday. It's called the I Occupy idea, the I Occupy conference. Luke, we just had the I Occupy conference, but I'll be teaching on I Occupy starting this Sunday at Sword of Truth. Shout out Sword of Truth, shameless plug, 1125 West Edmond Street. It's the place where winners worship. All right, put that in there. but here we go. So Luke 19:13 says, and he called his 10 servants and gave them 10. He called his 3 servants, gave them 10 pounds, and said, "Occupy till I come." Well, the word "occupy" there means do business, but it also means take up space. Well, do business and take up space where? Because it's not just do business in church; it's do business in the marketplace. It's do business in politics. It's do business in education. It's take up space in the world of family. It's take any place that there is an inch. God wants a Christian to take up that space, to fill it full of His thoughts, His culture, His climate, His idea, His nature.
All right, Tori. I'm going to let you ask a question to our guest here today. If you have anything that you would specifically like to go ahead and ask them.
That was actually the question that I was going to ask about the faith, and Bishop actually answered the question, because I wanted to know what he would, from a pastor's point of view, and he basically answered it. So I'm gonna let you do the questions, because he actually answered it thoroughly, what I was expecting. Because I was one of those people, like he said, point blank, period, that you can't separate the faith and politics. I was one of those people that would try to separate it. And he's absolutely right. You can't separate it, because I would try to avoid those. I was trying to avoid hard conversations, because sometimes the conversations, and like you would tell, like some conversations, like I said, like there's someone I know that is a Trump supporter, and we both are considering ourselves to be Christians. I was able to remain calm. They started getting very irate and start saying some very colorful words. So that's why I just wanted to end the conversation. So that was one of the, but he answered the question. That was one of the questions I was going to actually ask, and you already answered. So I'm gonna let you do the questions.
Well, I tell you what, here's the thing for me, because I feel like people are able to have their personal beliefs, and they can be in their individual, they can be private, but as far as your personal relationship with a higher power, wherever you are with that, I feel like, that's your personal space. As it relates to politics, I'm not sure that we are supposed to push that on anyone else. I don't feel like our personal faith should come into that in such a way that it infringes upon other people's lives, as it relates. And the easy thing for me is, as it relates to everyone's values. Everyone will not be the same religion. Everyone may not have the same values. So I feel like politics might have a different little space there. But obviously, like what I like to think is, there has to be a separation as it relates to governance. But as it relates to life, politics is a part of our life. So that's kind of like where I sit with it. And that's where it is. Let me ask you this. With what's going on now with our leading political candidates, what do you feel like overall within, because we all right now we all happen to let me do something here.
Check to see if it's freezing.
All right. Well, I feel like this, we all get an opportunity to express whatever it is that we want to express in our own religious practices, but you also get to do that politically. as it relates to that, how do you feel about candidates coming into or going into church when it is a political season? What does that look like for you? How do you feel about that? I'll start with you, Bishop.
Wow. Wow. I was hoping you'd pass it over to
I'm
Well,
gonna get
I'm
to her next.
so you said that this is Talk It Out with Tori, or Talk It Out with Tanya, right? And
It's talk it out.
let's talk it out. I feel that if a candidate decides that the only time they're going to come into a ministry is just to attempt to share their platform, that's a large level of manipulation, especially if after they are elected, or maybe even not elected, you don't see them again until it's time for another level of reelection. That means you're not concerned about the people and their lives. You're not concerned about that community of faith. You're more concerned about your platform and the votes that those people of faith are able to garner and to get, because they can say what they want to say and they can attempt to minimize church as much as they want to. When it comes to definitely the Black community, well, the church is still, particularly in some settings, the Black man's country club. This is where we all kind of gather, and it still has a level of power. It still has a level of influence that saturates throughout the community. So then if you understand that, and they do, they'll end up using or manipulating that power and that influence if the only time you see them is during that time, and if they're not giving that pastor to whom they utilize access into their chamber to have conversations and to push certain agendas for the congregation that pastor serves. It's like you give an ear to and you try to fight for some of their needs, desires, and wants. And so that's my feeling with that. Now, those who are really locked into service and locked into church and it's on a regular, that's not manipulation. But the other ones who show up and say things like 2 Corinthians, we know you have absolutely no idea about church. And so then there's that.
Right. Well, Belinda, as you're actually a candidate, I know that you know how important your local faith organizations are to candidates because a lot of our people are in church. So how do you navigate that yourself?
Well, that is a great question. And as the bishop was saying, when I go to the whole service and I tell the pastor because I guess they're so used to people just coming and speaking. And I said, no, when I do come, I want to worship with the congregation because, as the bishop said, I did not want that stigma tied to me that I'm politicking to the church. So when I do visit, I visit for the whole service. I stay and worship with the whole service. And I want the congregation to know that the only reason why I'm doing this right now is because I do have to meet a large mass of people at one time. But it's not, and I'm clear and I'm straightforward. I'm not there to prostitute the church, to say, hey, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to give you. I'm there to say, I want to worship with you. I am a Christian and I'm here to do God's will. And this is the means that He has sent me to do it. So that's the first thing I say to the pastor when I come, that I'm here to fellowship. But because I am running and people do have to know I'm running, this is part of the process
Absolutely.
that I don't like, but I let them know I'm not here to, because I only probably do one church a Sunday because I do stay the whole time. A lot of the politics, they just come and run in, say something, run out, go to another church. But my relationship is with God. So I'm like, I'm here to get my morning worship or my afternoon worship. And visiting the churches, that's how I get it with the
Okay.
politics season.
All right. Well, let us get a little bit into where we are right now with national politics. I'm not specifically asking you to endorse or who you are endorsing or anything of that nature. I just want to talk about the climate of what we are experiencing right now. We have seen Kamala come to the top of the Democratic ticket, and it seems to have uplifted a whole lot of spirits right now. We are experiencing something that I haven't felt in a very, very long time. I know that a lot of people are. I've been hearing people express that they are excited a little bit more about politics. I don't know if you are feeling that around you. What are you hearing in your circles about this particular ticket, whether you're voting here or not? But what are you hearing about it?
Everyone's excited, but I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I knew this was gonna happen from the beginning because I'm like, when I said that I stepped out on faith, and I always make a joke out of it. I say God knew I was gonna win this race, but He had to let the other people know I was gonna win by sending another woman.
All right.
So that's kind of how I say. And I know everyone's excited about it. But my campaign team, when I'm watching her every day, and the reason why I'm not all hyped, because I said that's what my campaign has been about the day that I stepped out. So that's why I know that this is God called, because I tell them, I said, everything that she's saying, I've already said it. I just don't have the platform to say it like she does. So that's the only difference. She has the resources, she has the platform, but that is my campaign, and I stepped out on freedom. That's
Okay.
what I stepped out on is freedom. And I'm like, okay, she got the Beyonce song Freedom. She's stepping out on freedom. I'm like, that's what I've been saying the whole time. And I was like, I experienced freedom. So I know what freedom is like. And I said, I want others to be able to experience freedom because
Absolutely.
you can't take that away once you have freedom.
Mhm.
And that's
Okay.
what I've been campaigning on.
What's going on in your circles, Bishop, whether that is within your congregation or within your everyday life? What is the climate and the conversation like for you about this particular ticket?
Well, before I get to our conversation, not
Mhm.
only did she utilize Beyonce, but I also saw she had Megan the Stallion. So but I know what you're doing. But
Okay, okay. Hey, let's stay right there. Okay, you said let's talk it out.
Mhm.
I like that you said that. You said she also had Megan Thee Stallion.
Mhm.
What did you mean by that?
It's appealing to her African American side. I mean, it's
Mhm.
showing more or less that she is sister. Because now we got to remember, whenever we made history the very first time in politics was through and with Obama, but it was by and large the black community coming out to begin to vote because we started seeing our face.
Mhm.
We started seeing, freedom,
Mhm.
for lack of a better word. We started seeing something that we could relate with, and so Camilla, I think, or Senator, Vice
We're gonna
President
say Kamala.
Kamala, yeah.
We think of, I had this little corny joke that I made because people are especially not pronouncing her name correctly, and we just want to give it to her. We like to pronounce people's names the way they want it pronounced. So it's Kamala. And how I want people to remember is comma, 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 comma. You remember that song?
You
It's
know, she might need you for one. She might need you for one of her political.
comma, 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 Kamala.
Because
It's
I will remember
comma.
that now forever. I mean, that's gonna be stuck in my. That's gonna be one of those songs that you don't want stuck up there, but it's gonna be stuck. It's gonna be stuck. So I feel like with her attaching herself again to her African American side,
Mhm,
definitely a smart move. But the political atmosphere, I see it from a different angle,
mhm,
spiritually as well as politically and naturally. We're literally on the verge of anarchy. I mean, it's just right there. It's anarchy and upheaval. Lawlessness
mhm.
is a kind of the bend that I sense and feel in within my circle of friends and pastors and all. We typically kind of feel the same exact way, that we're barreling towards, if we're not careful, lawlessness and anarchy, which is why the other candidate, the potential candidate, has such a following, because the masses prefer feeling versus thinking.
That's it.
If I can feel and make me feel and do whatever I want to do, I prefer that versus having to sit and reason and have a conversation and make things make sense. Whatever I feel like doing at the moment is what I want to do. And the person to whom exhibits that level of leadership is kind of where the masses tend to run to. And so we're in a position to where we're going to have to push the agenda of thinking versus feeling,
Right.
reason versus reasons. I got to reason this thing out, not my reason. I did it because, right? But we're thinking through. We got to be able to kind of settle ourselves within what's best for the world and not what's best for a section of people or for a moment, even if that moment in many cases is that the economy goes up. Because I mean, you can't take away from our former president's time in the presidency when money did change a bit. I mean, he's a businessman. He did business. But a businessman and president, two different things.
Absolutely. And then also that was still for a particular cast,
Right. For a particular set of people and a different dollar amount.
Yeah, we're talking totally different tax brackets. And when in the conversation that we're having here, and the people that Tori and I typically talk to, we're talking about everyday people who go to work, people who have children. They're trying to balance their grocery and their medication. That is what we're talking about. That everyday person who is going to work and still trying to figure out, what am I going to pay and how am I going to pay this? So for us, that whole conversation doesn't matter. He wasn't a president for us.
Yeah, that's why we have to deal with reason more than anything else, because although he wasn't the president for us, because those to whom he was a president for have the dollars to paint the picture the way they wanted to be painted, then those to whom are stuck on feelings will ride that wave versus those who go in reason and understand, no, hold on, wait a minute. We're talking about this segment of people, this section of people, not them. So let me be able to bring to the forefront that no, it got good, it got better for you, but it wasn't good for the world. That's what I meant. Not a section of people, but for the entire world. That's the agenda that we got to push, whether it be comma. You
Kamala.
That's gonna be stuck in my head forever. I gotta listen to another song tonight so I can go to sleep off that. We got to play Biggie or something in here so I can get myself back together. But at any rate, that's the kind of way we got to kind of ride it, because if we don't, and a certain political party takes the position, then anarchy is next.
Yeah. And when you say that, I know that we have to think about that on a national level. And Belinda, we have to think about that on a local level.
Yes.
And talk about how important it is for us to look at who we're putting in local seats, who we're putting in these state seats. Talk a little bit about that and why you know that to be important, because I know that because you're wondering, but tell people why that is important.
It's important with our local elections because the local politicians are the ones that shape your everyday lives. They're the ones that's passing the budget and what the government is getting ready to do if our other opponent gets into office. They're going to start handing down policies to your local government. So if your local government is doing the bidding for our US government, it doesn't matter who you have in Washington. If you do not elect the right people for your local governments, they're the ones that's appointing all the judges. They're the ones that are appointing people that sit on boards, on commissions. They're the ones that do the tax in your counties. So that affects you directly. So we get excited, and we should get excited about our national election. But in reality, your national elections do not affect you like your local elections. And when I say your local elections, that's from your school boards, that's from your county council, your city council, your house members, your senators. Those are the ones, the senators are the ones that make the laws for the state of South Carolina.
Your
So if
mayor.
you don't like a law in South Carolina, it's because your local senators, they got 46 of them. They the ones that pass the bills, and they're the ones that make the laws. They're the ones that determine how much money is going to come in your district. They're the ones that determine who's going to get what. Senators have a lot of power.
Okay.
Lots of power.
So let me ask you, you're running for a seat 31. What
Yeah.
is it that you look to bring to this seat that we're currently not getting here in South Carolina?
Well, what I currently going to bring to this seat, and this is what I tell, and we talked about it earlier. I am a common working citizen that understands the needs of trying to live every day. And I said, I won't even say that the politicians that are at the table don't care. I said it's that they don't understand because they're out of touch. Whenever they're sitting down, they're sitting down, their daily life is how to get a deal passed, how we're going to do this. They're thinking big dollar figures. They're not even thinking about what we think about every day. Do I have enough money for this grocery bill? Or do I have enough money for the light bill? Or am I going to have enough money to make the rent? Those are not even issues that even they think about because they're always thinking about making the next deal. So with a person at the table, Belinda, that lives that everyday life, it will shed light on the politician like this is what's going on. And that's what I tell people. I said, I'm not saying that they don't care. I'm going to say they don't understand. They're out of touch. I deal with people with lots of money. And that's the reason why I can say it. They don't have a clue of what the everyday person is doing. Because when I say something, they say, oh, just go get it. How the heck you gonna go get it with no money? But that's how they see it.
Mhm.
When I was making my signs yesterday, I had to make them because I didn't have somebody to say, hey, I'm gonna give them $10,000 and have my signs made. That's
So you just hit on something. You know, running for and to be an elected official, any type of political position, it takes money. How are you able to get local people to realize that they have to be a part of that process as well? How difficult is it, or is it very difficult to get people to realize that they have to donate to these candidates and actually have to, put these candidates in position to win the seat?
it's very, and the reason why it's difficult because a person like me, Belinda, has never been in the position to run for a Senate seat. I tell people when I jumped way, I didn't take a little leap, I did the big leap. So I don't think our community understand that it takes money to get the word out. So it's almost like good luck. And I'm like, I don't need luck. I need two things. I need money and your vote.
Mhm.
I said, I'm not running off of luck.
And that's
So
that's why, grass we've gotta go to that grassroots, because as you're talking about you being for people who are those everyday people, like we said, the people who are out here working, some of them working 2 jobs, trying to figure out just some everyday life things. Okay, well, if they're trying to figure out, how to buy grocery or pay their light bill, what kind of money do they have to even begin to think that they could donate to a political campaign?
and
How
that
can
is
we
so
expect that?
true. That is so true. And that's what, and I just had a meeting with my campaign crew today. And all they harp on is money, Belinda, you got to raise money, you got to raise money. And I said, but the people that I'm going to Columbia to serve, they don't have the money.
So
And
how are we reaching these people then? That's what we're talking out. So like
so
what are we saying to them?
what
How are we organizing them?
so probably one of the things they can do, just like Kamala Harris, is it Kamala
It's
Harris? Harris,
Kamala.
just like everybody's getting on the line and say, "Hey, donate $5." Well, for Senate, Belinda for Senate.com. I have a website, same website that they have at Blue. Everyone can just go in and pitch $5, $10, whatever you think that you can afford.
I
Go for
agree because a lot of us, a lot of people, they go to these little fancy coffee shops and get a little latte, a
exactly,
little whatever it is that they get an espresso, and those coffees can cost anywhere from 6, 7, $8.
exactly.
So I imagine if you could say, you know what, today I'm not going to buy this coffee. I'm going to donate here, or I'm going to make my contribution here, because I do think that it is important, and I want to express that to people too. Yes, we all are going through some times, but it's
Right,
not bad times to, we don't want to make it sound so harsh, because unemployment is not horrible for us right now at all. A lot of people aren't really looking for jobs. People are working. So I think we have to, we have to give that credit. We're not in horrific, times right
right.
now. We could be if we don't put the right people in position,
Oh, most
because
definitely.
this is more about our freedoms. This is for us as women. When we'll bring Tori back into the conversation as well. And I'm not leaving you out, sir. I know that you have a wife and a daughter. So as it relates to people wanting to take away our freedoms, body autonomy, that's very important. Where are you standing at with that politically, Tori?
What we
Jump
talked
in
about
here.
last week when we were talking about the body,
Yes, ma'am.
that for me personally, that I don't feel that we should have the right to be told what to do with our bodies, because being transparent, and I think I shared this before, but being transparent, I was raped and I had to make a decision, an ultimate decision to my body. I made the decision that I didn't want to have that child. But with these decisions being made, people that are in that situation, you're telling me that I have to have this child. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's right for you to tell me what to do with my body. I totally disagree with that.
That
Yeah.
and that's one really big issue. I
Yeah.
didn't say no you were going to share that
Well,
here, Tori, with
I like to be honest. So
Right.
respect, but I didn't ask you that. I didn't put this question here for that. I do want
yeah,
to say that, and I respect you sharing it, because it is important that people understand that, these aren't easy decisions for people to make, to think, and the conversation typically I hear from the other side that they feel like it's just, they make it seem like it's a decision like you just make haphazardly.
Right.
We've seen so many of these stories. They try to make it seem like it's a decision that um women make because they're being irresponsible. But I think they have to factor into it is a part of different situations.
Right.
Married women have to make these decisions. Unfortunately, cases like yours, they have to make these decisions. We've got a lot of certain people on that same side who find themselves wanting to have their mistresses make these type of decisions. So it's not that, and I don't think we should have to get into the details of it, because I absolutely do not feel that a government of men should be making legal decisions for women and their bodies. There are no laws on the books for men and their bodies, not one.
Mm.
Why is it for women?
right.
Yeah, it's
Why is
And
it?
true.
there's health situations as well, because I had a friend that had to make the decision because of health reasons. So that's
Yes.
another reason that you could have to make that choice as well.
Absolutely, from a male perspective, and
Yeah.
also as a faith leader, this is probably a very interesting topic to somebody calling me while we on the they I do this the same time every week. Some of your friends, not your friends. But from a male perspective, and as well as a faith leader, um, tell us what your thought is with government being involved with this. We're not talking about what people's personal belief is, but should government be involved?
Absolutely not. When it comes to the female's body, well, even a male's body, but in this case, female's body, no, there should not be laws that legislate what you're allowed to do or not to do with as it relates to your health and your body. That is not our place. That then makes government infringe too deep on the lives of the very people they're supposed to be protecting, because the government is for protection, not for dictating. We're,
Right.
we're not in Russia. Well, I don't even know if Russia still dictates, but I'm sure they do. But we're not in those kinds of countries to where levels of dictation is needed and necessary. Again, our government and the way we have set it up, or supposedly have set it up for years, is to protect the interests and the well-being of people,
Of the
not
people.
not to turn it as a tool to tell them this is what you got to do.
And I tell you what, but it certainly looks like that is where the right wants to go with it. I mean, just out in the open, out of his mouth, Trump has pretty much said, listen, he told the people, vote for me, you won't have to worry about it again.
Yes,
He
most
said, I'll
definitely.
be dictator on day one. So he's telling, right to your face,
Yes,
saying all of the things out loud. I don't know if people are taking it serious, but you very much should be. Project 2025. There
yes.
is nothing in that agenda that is for us. And for us, I don't mean a particular section or race of us. I mean for we the people. I don't see that. And so that's where that line of Christian nationalism kind of kind of sways over to Christianity. And I'm sure that there are many Christians who are not with this far right side of what Christian nationalists are trying to do. And it's just not right. It's not what the people are asking for, not what they're asking for at all. So why are they getting in our lives this way when there's so many other things that they could be doing?
Right.
I'm gonna let
Tanya,
Tori
let me
go
chime
ahead.
in on that 1 minute.
Sure.
So let's just say that we get the president that we're voting for, Harris, but we don't get our local level senators because South Carolina right now has the most extreme, one of the most extreme abortion bans. So that still can carry out in your state. So that's why, again, it's important that, especially now, to send women to Columbia because
Mhm.
we lost two of our women that was in the Senate because of the abortion and the men fought to make sure they were removed.
Mhm.
So we lost two of the women that we already had there. So currently, right now, we only have two women that's in the South Carolina Senate. And if we do not send more, we can forget thinking anything that's concerning women will pass
Absolutely.
because they're going to make the laws right here in your state. And our Washington laws will not even affect us. It's going to affect us right here because if you have more Republicans, they're going to be the super majority and you will get nothing passed.
And that's exact. I'm glad you brought that up. And you say if we get more Republicans, I mean this far right. I don't
Yes,
even know necessarily that. I almost don't even want to call them Republicans anymore because I don't even see Republicans anymore. I see MAGA. I see this cult to Trump almost
yes,
until I do not see that anymore. I almost don't. So
right.
I feel like it is up to whoever considers themselves Republicans to kind of define where they stand in relation to MAGA. I just feel like there needs to be a massive regroup of the Republican Party as well,
Yes,
because as we see, There are Republicans who are for Kamala. You know, I've seen that. There are a lot of them who are coming out, and they're not changing to say that they're Democrats, but they realize that, listen, we cannot vote for this guy. This is not our party. What has happened
Right.
here? So I feel like more Republicans need to realize, like, we've got to do some regrouping, and more Republicans might need to realize we have to get someone else in office because this guy is not it.
But look at your state, South
Gotta
Carolina.
uh, gotta look at your state. Thank you. We have to continue,
Your
to
state.
bring that up, and I mean that's why you are here. That's why it's
Yeah.
so important to have women who are running. So we've got to thank you for that. But we also have to get you in that seat.
Yes, we
You know, I had a
definitely
couple of
do
thoughts for you, Belinda,
that. Okay.
Senate woman Belinda. We might as well get
Thank
used to
you.
saying that.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
Right. Because you mentioned earlier, so it kind of backtracks. I'm not sure where you want to go, Miss Tanya, but it backtracks a little, and then
It's a
wherever.
conversation. That's what we do.
Yeah. So money is an issue. I've ran for office before in
Okay.
Bennettsville, running for I was running for county council. Made it to a runoff. Of course, in runoffs, if we get you going out there once,
Exactly.
we ain't coming back the second time. It just ain't gonna happen. So I ended up losing it. I probably needed to because we relocated to Florence anyway, so I wouldn't be able to keep the seat. But for so long, however, because you do represent those who are marginalized financially, there's so many other ways now that we can help mobilize movements for you that may not have a dollar sign connected to it much at all,
Right.
such as, TikTok is everybody's go-to. Most people go to, especially our millennials and down. And when things go viral, or they start trending, then
Right.
to have something trend costs people nothing but a share. So it's grabbing a post, is creating a poster, starting a movement, is pushing your agenda, is doing a TikTok, is doing a video or something, and then have that proliferated and pushed through that medium. Facebook, I mean, and then sharing that thing over and over again. Now the message gets out prior to you having any kind of money, because most folk who tend to go viral and become famous were broke prior to the social media moment and that movement. Anytime you can get into cookouts and family gatherings, and any of those things, and start the conversation and have your name become more common, just in the I believe I heard Ms. Tanya say it, the grassroots side of that,
Right.
which again, those who have money, well, they have artificial grass, so it really looks like.
You're right.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I mean, what you're saying is right, but that is also easier said than done, because there is no formula to going viral, and and you can't even begin to you can't even make a video to say that I'm getting ready to make a viral video. But you did say something that was important. Um it costs nothing to share. So even just a sincere brief message, being able to share that and have people, just continue to share. I can understand that. I also heard you say, just at our family gatherings and our conversations, we're
Right.
supposed to be having these conversations. Stop being afraid. We've allowed somewhere for someone to tell us that we shouldn't talk about religion and politics. And I don't know who decided that, but I know that that does not work to our best interests. And the only reason that I can imagine that they didn't want us to talk about religion and politics is because they knew that we would be having intelligent conversations that would work to better us as a people, and they didn't want that. So we've got to change that. And that is why, right here in this particular space, we knew it wouldn't be popular to talk about politics. I've seen my channel be shadow banned a bit. I've seen a difference just based on having these conversations, but we want to do it because we have to use our voice in this way. This is what's going on in our life. This is important. This is probably, to me, probably will be one of the most important election cycles maybe in my life, maybe all
Yes.
of our lives. So how do you explain that, Bishop, to your young people? And then after he, gives his response, Belinda, tell us what is it that you're doing to relate to younger people?
Mhm. So how do we explain it being that important?
Yes.
Well, usually I attempt to help them see their Bible as well. Some people use it as acronym, basic instructions while living on Earth, or something like before leaving this Earth. All that aside, is trying to show them how the Word relates to their everyday life, and here's how they end up finding places of power. Because if the only place they think that they can have authority, power, or that God can use them is in a pulpit, then they'll shut their mind off from all things in the world, or all things even in Christianity. So I have to tell them things like Isaiah 9:6, for unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given, and the government is on his shoulders. We have to kind of tell them and show them how, prior to the shifting into democracy and things of that nature, scripturally, kings who made laws would consult with priests
Right.
before they made the law. It became a symbiotic connection between Christianity, sanctification, and the law. They had a consult. Not that they always did every single thing that the priest said, but before they made an edict, they ensured that the priest understood, and or that the priest had a say within that moment. So they're going to, I show them how they fit within that whole making. Because you might not be a preacher, but
Right.
you can definitely be a sanctified politician. And I feel like we ended up having more people pushed toward preaching when they should have been pushed toward filibustering, because they weren't called to a pulpit; they were called to a lectern. And that's where their voice would have been stronger than just saying, "I got a congregation of 100, 250," versus I have a congregation of South Carolina. And I don't know how many people down South Carolina, but that then becomes your entire congregation, and you lead from a lectern and not, a pulpit.
Respect.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you able to message, or how are you messaging to young people, Belinda?
Well, and when I was the judge, I stepped down. So I got the chance to see a lot of young people that have not forgotten Belinda. So when I was canvassing an area, and this is the reason why I'm going here, they saw me and they was like, Judge, you're in our neighborhood. So I'm going where they are. And it was funny, the person said, no one ever comes here and talk to us. And these were young people. And then one of them said to me, Judge, we need you on the bench. I said, no, you need me in Columbia because I don't want you to see me on the bench. I said, that's why I'm out here now. So you will not get to see me on the bench. And that resonated to them. And I said, I need you to come out to get involved. And when I said that, when I said to them, I need you so you won't see me on the bench. And when I said that, they knew what I meant.
Right.
And then it was funny. And then they said, and guess what, Judge? We are registered to vote. So they were also telling me that people don't think that we're registered, but we are registered to vote. And when they said that, I said, okay. So it's almost like we see you, but we want to hear you. And that's what the young folks are not, they're not being heard. We talk about them, but we're not listening. And all
Well,
it takes is just one or two people just saying, hey, just tell me. Because when I was a judge, I know that for a fact that they would tell me what they did. And I'm like, whoa, 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 hold up. You have a right to remain silent. But I had their ear.
right. Well, here's the thing. You're absolutely right, but well, not but, and they have to hear, people who are their age. They want to know what some of the people that they look up to and who is in their peer group, what some of their political beliefs are. They need a draw. And so I'll go back to earlier when Bishop mentioned that Meg Thee Stallion was at one of Kamala's rallies, and I've heard a lot of things about it. Some people saying, "Well, why would she have Meg Thee Stallion at one of her rallies?" And I said to myself, "Well, Meg Thee Stallion has a reach of young people that she does not have."
Right.
And we have to respect that. And I
Right.
also respect that that's where she is. Meg Thee Stallion is a very intelligent young lady, educated as well. She happens to be a musician, she raps. So we have to respect that. And I felt like it was in a lot of great taste. People were talking, I was like, okay, well, she had on what was like a suit, but she tailored it into a fashion that was young, that was, fly. And if you know anything about Meg Thee Stallion, she could have come very, very different, and she didn't. So it was very tasteful. It was very respectful. I feel like it was very much in line. So I appreciated that she had her there, and I feel like we need to have more, entertainers within that within young people's viewership who are willing to say, "Hey, we need to look here. We need to look in this direction." Whatever direction that is, but stand behind it.
Now, there's one bill that, mostly is for the younger generation, and I talk about it all the time, and it's simple possession of marijuana. I said our General Assembly is talking about medical marijuana. So I said one of my fights will be to decriminalize simple possession of marijuana. I said if we're going to talk about making it medically, we cannot continue to arrest people for simple possession of marijuana. So when I do say that, I do get the okay, we can get with that. But it's just simple. It's like
But you're
mostly all
right.
states now have legal marijuana, and we're still arresting people for simple possession, but yet you're going to make it a medical use, but still criminalize it. I said,
Make it
don't
make
make
sense.
So,
this
Belinda,
make
that's one of the things that I'm saying. So,
yeah,
because do that on a video,
yeah,
say that on a video, post it,
okay,
because
got it.
those young folk will look at that like, well, hold on, wait a minute, what she just said? Uh, wait,
Absolutely.
she just
You
said
you
we're not going to.
You
And they're like,
should
well,
arrest it.
yeah,
Exactly.
saying it on this platform is great. Video that
Yeah,
thing. Do something. Start it with somebody smoking marijuana. I don't know, but then and then move into here's my political stance. Vote for me.
yeah.
Dot, dot,
or
dot.
let them have a prop. A
Mm.
prop, because it is a
Oh
video.
yeah, yeah, right. So not that's what I mean. You don't actually have
Yeah.
smoking weed, and I would do that. But there's a picture, a prop, or something, or just show the blunt. I mean, they were talking about Snoop, how they use Snoop,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
fentanyl
Right.
thing. Well, use
And
Snoop,
here's what Martha Stewart, they best friends. Uh-huh.
Right. And,
right?
and 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 see, these are the type of conversations that we should be having. Like, I feel like when we're in conversation, there's things that we can figure out. There's more that we can do. And this didn't cost us anything,
Right.
but we see that there's value here. We can go somewhere with this. Well, guys, we've been talking over an hour here now. I can't even believe it. Typically, we talk for an hour. I do want to ask you to leave one final message. So you think about it. I'm gonna allow Tori to talk to some of our people in the chat. It has been busily going on here. We are here talking about Tuesday. We talk about life, people, and politics. And Tori, I'm gonna go ahead and let you get some of these comments on out here.
What time stamp will we start? Okay, Suzanne says Belinda Timmons will win if every woman in Florence County votes for their own freedom. This should not be in Democrat or Republican vote. It is a vote to free women from politicians.
Okay.
Q says, thank you for reminding the people that all politics are local, which is true. Tawana says it costs nothing to share.
That's it.
Tawana says, our youth should be raised up in knowledge and understanding. They will be the ones who are being raised up. Tawana also says, we have to capture the attention of our youth on their level.
Yes.
All right, all right. I mean, we've got a whole lot of people who have been engaged in the conversation. I want to thank everybody who has come in and been a part of the conversation. Share this. We talk about sharing, share this, because there's been some key things in here that other people who didn't get an opportunity to be here with us tonight, they might need to hear it. All right. You want to give your final message here, Bishop?
Absolutely. One, thank you, Ms. Tanya, for allowing us to sit on your platform. You could have anybody you want, I'm sure, but allowing us to come, I appreciate that. And I'm honored to have shared this space with three brilliant young women. Here's one of the things I guess I want to leave with everybody, to understand that there is a need for this level of conversation. There is a need for faith and spiritual, and let me just say faith, for faith-based people, for those who have a deep belief in God, to be in positions of power, to be in positions of influence, so that we're not having to have our young men or women in front of a judge for something that they've legalized as it relates to medical marijuana. Here's what the scripture says. Here's what the word says, Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. You can already kind of see the differentiation between those two polarities playing out right in front of us. When someone who does not have righteousness embedded in them, then there is a bunch of mourning happening with the people. But when the righteous stand in and give ear and give mouth to situations righteously, the people then rejoice. We need more of us in those kind of arenas and more conversations such as this, so we can break away that stigma of the separation of faith and politics.
All right. Thank you for that, because I tell you what, sent no questions out to you guys, just let you know that it would be a conversation, and to have you willing to come on and to not know where the conversation would go, and we kind of touched some of everything. I appreciate that. And we need more faith leaders who are willing to be in conversation with people, and that we're able to have a conversation and say, oh, you can't say that, or you can't ask that. You never made us feel that way. So thank you for that. And thank you for what you do here.
I get to serve.
All right.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. All right. Belinda, could we let you leave a last message here?
I will be brief. And like I said, when I stepped out, it was stepped out on faith, and it was Esther. I always go back to the book of Esther. And now is the time, is such a time as this. And I always remember hearing her cousin say, Esther, don't think, because it was her time to save her people. And he said, if you don't go, don't think that God will not send someone else. And don't think that just because you're one of them now, that you're still a Jew. And they will find out that you are a Jew, that you are one of us. So it's almost like it was like Belinda. Don't forget, just because you may not be in that situation now, I was there. And you cannot forget that you have to reach back, because it was like, hey, Esther, don't forget, if we perish, you will too. So it was like, Belinda, whoever perish, you will too. So that was my step to say, if I perish, so be it. Because one way or the other, I'm going to perish anyway. So I'm going to take my step of faith. And I said, I'm going to be on God's side. Also, I want to tell everybody to go to my webpage. You can go to Belinda for Senate. Also, to volunteer. We are having a volunteer meeting this Thursday, the 15th at 6 o'clock. And you can go to, there it is, the webpage, and come out. And like I tell everyone, if you don't give one I'm good with that. If you give me your vote, you have given me the max amount that you can give. And that's what I always say. If you can give me that vote, you have given me your max dollar. So, again, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it, and I hope I can come back again.
Yeah.
November the 5th, vote for Belinda Timmons,
All
District
right.
31.
Well, thank you for being a part of the conversation once again. We don't send any questions out. We're just having a conversation. This is no it it's like you have to know who you are and just be willing to talk. It's nothing hard nosed. It's nothing political in terms of what we see on some of the other outlets, what you might see in mainstream media, other podcasts. We're having a conversation. Conversations matter, and so I like that you were able to fit within our format here, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, all right, all right. We are still talking about politics, people. I got to let you guys know what's going on also. You've already seen this here, but also happening tomorrow at 6 p.m. Belinda Timmons will be having a campaign volunteer meeting. So you can RSVP for that at 843-229-0948. So you can do that through text. Also, we will also happening on Thursday, 6 o'clock. There is going to be a power networking mixer at the Epic Center in Florence. So make sure if you're going to go out to that, that is going to be hosted by Councilwoman LaShonda Neesmith Jackson. Always good to know what's going on in your community. Tori, we had a conversation. You got to unmute yourself if you want me to hear you.
My bad. This was really, I was saying this was really good because early on my internet was acting up and I thought I was muted earlier. And my son was like, I heard you on the line. I was like, oh Lord. But
Yeah.
I think that we as a people, for whatever capacity, we are called to serve. So
Mhm.
we have to determine what capacity that we are. So like for you and I, our voices, we have a platform where we can use our voices to get people out, because I want to do whatever I can to encourage more people to vote, because like
Right.
I say all the time, I wanted to make sure that my son wouldn't be ignorant as his mom was, because when I was 18 I did not register to vote. I didn't know what the hype was about, but I made sure that he knew, and I educated him, and he was actually excited to vote for the first time at
Yeah.
18.
We
So
have
I
to.
think we got to get out there, because what's discouraging to me is because it's like Miss Belinda stated, it happens locally. We got to vote in the local polls, and it's very discouraging when I go to vote in our local primaries, and I'm like the third person, and it's like in the evening, and I'm
We've
just the
gotta
third
stop
person.
that. Yeah. Why is that? There's no line.
Nothing.
You've gotta be encouraged to know that what happens in your local election is what affects your life the most. And so,
Absolutely.
all of these people who are running in these state offices, make sure that you find out, help them
Ab-
out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
We had a lot of people who were in the comments
Yes.
tonight. They were
Yes.
just going, but, we had some very good guests, and so,
Absolutely.
I also appreciate that. Um, that's it, Tori. That's all I got for the people. Listen, I'm getting ready to go have me a little cup of tea.
And listen, make sure, Mrs. Belinda, if you haven't already, make sure you put your website in the comments as well, that people may have missed a flyer, so that they can RSVP for tomorrow. Also, that if they want to volunteer as well, like say they can't make it tomorrow, and also the website, I'm sure with that website, if correct me if I'm wrong, time, you can also go to that website to make donations as well. Hopefully you can, but their number is there as well. You can call for questions at 843-229-0948. Make sure you guys show up and show out in the polls.
Yes.
All
That's
right.
what we can do. That's what we get to do. We
Yes,
get the privilege and we have the freedom to do that. So let's make sure we keep these freedoms, okay?
exactly.
Freedom. Okay,
Exactly.
when y'all hear Kamala come out there, and I already told y'all how to pronounce her name. Do I need to remind them, Tori?
One more
Kamala. Don't blame my singing, but you can remember that. Okay. All right, let's get on out of here. Thank
Peace
y'all
out,
once again.
y'all.
All right. Thank you for being a part of the conversation and be a part of the process. All right, y'all. All right. One love. Good people.